Hey, hello everyone, and welcome back to Totally Accurate Battle Simulator, and today we're going to be moving up an era. Yes, for now it is the end of the Ancient Era and the Classical Era. We are moving into the Medieval Era, because I am bringing you a medieval battle between the French and the English, being the Battle of Crécy, which was in 13 something or other. There you go. 1346. 1346 Battle of Crécy between the French and the English. It was an English victory. And so what we've got here is I am on the Legacy map. As you can see, we've got this nice big open field. For some reason they have the lines switched over, so the blue tents have got the red line on it, and the red tents have got the blue line on it, so I switched them around, and it's going to be the French attacking the English, as it was. So, two brand new factions for me to show to you. This is the English here. They were sort of comprised of a central block of soldiers with longbowmen either side. So we've got the English longbowmen here, which are very strong missile troops. They've got very good range on them. They can fire quickly. The English longbowman was feared throughout medieval Europe. So yeah, these are the guys here. They're not very well armoured, as you can see. They're just longbowmen. They don't really have a lot of health. They're wearing helmets. They've got chainmail. They've got a sort of a chainmail hat sort of thing over them. And then they've just got sort of padded armour on them with some boots in their quiver, and their English longbow, which fires rather quickly and does a whole load of damage. The central block here that we've got is comprised of English men-at-arms and English knights. So the men-at-arms are these guys here. They're not as well armoured as the knights. They've got a basic helmet. It's the closest I can get to an English helmet of this era. So they've just got that. They've got a sort of cloth sort of wrap over their heads. I keep on forgetting what it's called. But yeah, they've got that on them. They've also got a sort of scarf thing wrapped around their neck, and they've just got again some chainmail armor under a overcoat, or overshirt rather, I should say. And then they've got chainmail leggings and some lightly armoured boots. And of course they've got their long infantry spears. So those are the men-at-arms. And then behind them we've got the strong English knights. So they've got, again, sort of mail armour on them. They've got the mail armour over a sort of long coat, which has got the English cross on it. And in order to simulate the split and the long coat that they had, which went down over their chainmail, I've had to use skirts, but I think they've come out rather well. And of course their shields can't have the English lions on them, so I've just given them the two main English colours of the Royal English, English royal family rather, which is blue and red. So yeah, these guys are on the red team, obviously, to just fit with the fact that they mostly wear red. So yeah, we've got two rows of them. It's a 12 by 2 deep either side, so we've got a 12 by 2 deep of men-at-arms at the front, being 24 spears, and then we've got again 24 knights at the back, with some standard bearers behind them, which are just a man with a sword, and he's got some light armour on him and all that. So yeah, he's a slightly more well armoured, but he still has less health than the regular men-at-arms. And they've got the same over this side, because the English army at Crécy, they were protected from flanking either side by two towns, so they just had the bit in the middle, which is what I'm trying to simulate here against the French. And then right behind here we've got the King, was it Edward III? Yeah, King Edward III is back here. He's got some knights and he's got some more longbowmen. So 6 longbowmen either side, and then he's got 7 knights at the front, 6 of them behind him, and then the King himself is standing there, nice and tall with his big old armour. He's the most well armoured out of all of the knights on all of these factions. And then again 2 standard bearers behind him, because they are going to be defending against the French. So the French crossbowmen were the first ones to attack. They were actually mercenary Italian crossbowmen, so that's what I've got here. I've just got some basic mercenary crossbowmen. They didn't do very well. They weren't able to shoot very quickly. It was very muddy. They after like 2 volleys, they were just completely torn to shreds by the longbowmen, which is what I'm hoping is going to happen here. And the French did outnumber the English, but they kept on coming like piecemeal. They came in like block after block, which allowed the English to deal with each wave as it came. So the French weren't able to use their superior numbers against the English defences, and they sort of failed. So that's what I'm trying to again simulate here. So I've got French men-at-arms here. The French had a sort of tall, pointy helmet, and this is the best I can do in tabs. I don't quite have the proper helmet, but I think these have come out well enough. So yeah, these are just French men-at-arms. They've got not as much armour as sort of an English man-at-arms, but they have got a chainmail hat and a sort of chainmail bit around their neck and upper torso, and then they've just got boots and trousers and your typical medieval garb. So yeah, they're there with their spearmen, and then behind them we've got the French knights. The French knights actually had sort of like the long pointy helmets, but I can't really do that in tab, so I just gave them these helmets instead. They're not perfect, since the French, had the pointy noses for their helmets, but yeah, unfortunately can't do that. But the French did use a lot of white and blue in their uniforms, so of course these guys are on the blue team, and they've got white and blue clothing and shields. So it only made sense for the French to be on the blue team here. So yeah, they're going to be coming in blocks. The first 2 blocks here have got 10 by 2, making it 20 men-at-arms at the front, and then another load of 20 men-at-arms / knights coming up from behind. You've got 2 blocks of them, and then you've got King Philip VI. Yes, King Philip VI of France coming in the rear with all the rest of his knights. And I'm actually mean to put some men-at-arms back here. 1 row of men-at-arms at the front. Now we'll put him at the end. So yes, there you go. 1 row of men-at-arms, and then a whole load of blocks of knights at the back with the king as their final push into the English. Now the knights are able to block arrow shots. The men-at-arms aren't, so I'm expecting the men-at-arms to not do as well here against the English longbowmen. So it's really going to be a knight push against the English here. And as you can see, this is one of the biggest battles I have done here for Crécy. So, yeah, the French outnumber the English in this battle by a bunch. By like 20 or so units, maybe 30 units. But don't forget, there are 60 mercenary crossbowmen making up this front line, and then the rest of them, half of them are men-at-arms, which are not well suited at dealing with the English longbowmen, and the French knights are going to be able to for a bit, but it'll have to see. We'll just have to see how well that goes for them. Cost-wise, the French cost a little bit more because the longbowmen do cost a bit more than your average mercenary. But let's see how it goes. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, straight away, the mercenary crossbowmen are going to fire their crossbow shots. These guys at the back here haven't quite been pinned down by a... haven't quite been pinned down by their standard bearer. And it looks like actually the English archers aren't able to fire off their shots. It looks like the crossbowmen do have the range over the longbowmen here, which is not ideal. I might have to move them forwards perhaps. Right, so I've properly pinned down the English now, so that these guys at the back here will actually stay, and I've also moved the crossbowmen forward, so they won't miss as many shots into the longbowmen here, and indeed a bunch of them go down as well as a bunch of the men-at-arms. But now the longbowmen will actually be able to fire, and indeed in go their first volley straight away, going to deal with a bunch of those mercenary crossbowmen. Now the thing is, the longbowmen, like I said, fire a lot quicker than these crossbowmen. So whilst the crossbowmen did manage to get off their first shot there, probably before the French managed to get to them, they'll probably have been killed off. But what didn't help here is that a bunch of the English longbowmen have been killed, along with a bunch of the men-at-arms at the front row, which is, yeah, again, not too great. But in go the individual longbow shots. They're going to easily start picking off at this range especially. these mercenary Italian crossbowmen. And yeah, as you can see, they are just falling left, right and centre. At this point, the line would have broken and they would have ran away. But of course this is tabs, and they don't do that. A couple of the crossbowmen have actually managed to reload here. Indeed, in comes a crossbow bolt. Oh, being blocked by a knight. It looks like, yeah, the standard bearer was one of those to have been killed, so of course a couple of rogue English are now running forwards. It looks like, yeah, that was the only standard bearer to fall here. And in go the longbow shots, hitting what remains of the crossbow bolts, or the crossbowmen rather, as they manage to shoot down a couple of longbowmen. But overall the English line is holding up miraculously well. Yeah, unsurprisingly, the man-at-arm that charged was cut down by a crossbow bolt. But the knight has been able to be retained by the standard bearer, and yeah, there's pretty much one or two longbowmen, crossbowmen left. I think that man there is the only one. As in comes the first wave of French knights, and as you can see, they are managing to block a lot of the longbow shots, but the men-at-arms are not so lucky. They're just getting cut down by the superior longbowmen of the English, after all of their mercenary crossbowmen were wiped out. Obviously, didn't help that they did suffer so many casualties, the English here, but hopefully these longbowmen will start, will start paying off their debt, and in charges all of the French knights. It's charging straight in there on this one lone Englishman, who is still alive somehow after that. As are most of the men-at-arms of the French here, as in comes the second wave. This man has had his shield peppered by multiple different arrows. Let's see if he'll get cut down, perhaps, before he reaches the front line. No, he manages to block another shot, but in comes another one, dodges right over his head, and misses the French line, hits a random man, hits a random dead body on the floor. Meanwhile, over here, the flank of the English have been brought into play here, attacking the first set of French knights, and it looks like actually the French line is all moving over this way, which is not ideal, but one of the French a French knight did manage to reach in here, and he's angered the English. He managed to get to this part of the line, and he has angered them. So in goes some longbow shots. They're taken down a couple of French knights, I think, possibly, as the English knights, in charges one, very nice, hitting him, and yeah, of course, in comes all of the men-at-arms again. The king is bringing up the rear, unsurprisingly, the French king. In charges an English knight. The longbowmen are not going to stand if these guys fail, so obviously all of these longbowmen on the flanks are starting to shoot and try and help out the hard-pressed men on the flank, and it looks like these guys are raring to get involved. They're slowly making their way over. We've got a couple of them over here coming in. And then, of course, if this line fails, which indeed it's quite possible, we do at least have the king back there who will be able to mop up the rest of the French. Although, of course, this is tabs. It's quite possible that that won't happen, and that the French will indeed win over the English, because, well, the English just do not have the numbers advantage here, and the knights are pretty evenly matched. As you can see, there's just one or two knights left. We've got the standard bearer back there, and we also have, well, we had a man-at-arms, and yeah, down he goes with his yellow gloves. So yeah, just one English knight, and yeah, he's dead. Looks like a couple of English knights have got involved over here, and the archers are starting to back away with that one lone crossbow man over there. It looks like they have succeeded in taking down some of the French, though. There's still quite a few men-at-arms, though, which can be a hindrance if these French knights can't protect them from the many arrows that are coming in. It's just a constant barrage. In goes another English man-at-arm. In he goes, and indeed in go a couple of bow shots from the rear line with the king. Looks like they are now assaulting the standard bearer, who's not really going to be able to achieve much I didn't give him much of an attack speed or much of an attack damage, so if he's lucky he might kill one man maybe, but no, he's going to die pretty soon. Looks like a man-at-arms did die there. There he goes, one more of the French down. But the standard bearer, yet unsurprisingly, has died. Some more of the English have been brought into the fray, and don't forget we've still got all of this second line, which are fresh, ready for the fight. And of course the constant peppering of longbows. This flank here obviously has by now fallen. The longbowmen are going to get assaulted pretty quickly now by the French knights, and whilst they can block some arrow shots, they can't stop all of them. Obviously, if they do fire one at a time, then yeah, it's quite possible that their ability will come off of cooldown, but it looks like someone's trapped in a melee under here. You just got a random English knight probably trapped under here just with a pile of Frenchmen over him, which would be a field day for the English bowmen, able to get some easy shots on the slow-moving French knights. But the English second line has been brought in. Yeah, this flank has now been brought in to the French positions, but down goes two of the knights there. Two English knights right away have just been killed. But they are taking down a couple of the Frenchmen by the looks of it. We'll have to see what happens when the king gets involved. Speaking of which, where is the French king? We can usually tell where he is from his footman shield and his massive size. I think he... Yep, there he is, French king right there. He's trying to deal with the English knight who's actually stuck under this press of French troops. Hopefully they'll kill some of their own, giving the English a little bit of respite before they manage to find him. Oh, yep, one of them just got shot by an arrow. Yep, down goes one of the Frenchmen. Down to an English longbow shot, very nice. And the French over here, yeah, they've pretty much cleared out the remaining English knights, unfortunately, and they are getting involved with the longbowmen. Yep, down goes another one there. We do still have this knight over here, and oh, one of those French men-at-arms was just saved by this Frenchman who put himself in harm's way of that arrow shot. And they go for a charge into this English knight, who hits back, but doesn't manage to kill any of them, and he's now being assaulted by 3 men-at-arms and 3 knights of the French. But there was still one more knight back there, but he's been killed by a man-at-arm, and yet this knight has fallen by the looks of it. Yep, he's dead. He is indeed very dead. The knight that's still stuck under this press is amazingly still alive. I've no idea how or why, but he is. Looks like there's still a couple of English knights here. Oh, as a French knight just gets cut down by a longbowman. Very nice, very nice. One more for the English, and yep, they're blocking some of the arrow shots, but in comes another one. Oh, gets blocked by the knight, as there's still 2 men-at-arms, and I think one of the English knights has been killed by the looks of it. I think it's just this knight left and these 2 men-at-arms. Standard bearer is now getting involved, but this knight is now in with the longbowman. Oh, but one of them just takes him out with a point-blank shot to the back. Oh, very nice indeed. Looks like, yeah, unfortunately it looks like the knight that was trapped under this melee of French troops has now finally been killed. So no more easy pickings for the king's retinue back there. There is still a couple of knights left though. It looks like there's 2 knights left over here. One of them did just get punched in the back of the head by his friend, but oh, down goes one of the French knights to the longbowman, and oh, that one managed to block the shot, but in comes the French king. We've still got the English king back there though. King Philip versus good old King Edward, which we might well see, because obviously the French have managed to push through the English front line here, but they've lost quite a few of their number, plus we've still got all of these longbowmen on the flanks, which will constantly be hampering the French positions. Indeed, down goes another French knight to the piercing English longbows. We have still got 2 English knights left though. We've got this one here and that one there, plus we've still got these 2 men-at-arms who are bravely, let's say, defending the archers. And yeah, this is all that remains of the French force, which we still haven't encountered the king and his defence back there, nor have we encountered the remaining archers. And these Frenchmen are going to be already injured. Yeah, indeed. Down goes another one to the archers. These French knights are all going to be injured and, you know, tired. They're not going to be at the best of their fighting formations, whilst King Edward and his posse is going to be perfectly well rested to take on the injured French king. But the two knights have been killed, unsurprisingly. I don't think the archers are going to be able to kill off the king. Yeah, they're the knight blocking his king from some longbowman shots. As in comes another one, gets blocked by a French knight who's down on the floor. But in they go, French king cutting down one of the men-at-arms. Oh no, not quite, he shrugged it off. He shrugged it off and they're both trying to stick him with their spears, but oh no, they both die. They both die to a nice swipe from King Philip. And oh, the standard bearer's getting involved, but the king can parry. He's like the only unit in either one of these factions that can parry, other than the English king. And oh, charges in with his massive great shield into these archers. Oh, we've still got that crossbowman, don't forget. Still got him way back there. Way back there. You just saw his crossbow bolt fly in between these longbowmen. The French king, though, yeah, he's getting involved with these archers, as is the remaining French knights, which there's still a few of. You've still got about, let's call it 14 French knights and a couple of men-at-arms. And in they all go. Yep, they're cutting down the English longbowmen. Unsurprisingly, yep, down they go. And the king, oh, look at that, King Edward. King Edward is raring to go as he sees his remaining archers getting cut down by these French knights. Looks like they might take down one or two, though, in here. I mean, if they can manage to kill the king, then that'll be a massive blow to French morale, but I don't think that is going to happen, sadly. Oh, one rogue French knight is coming, charging at the king, who is going out to meet him. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, King Edward. Oh, no, he's done it. In he goes. That's done it. Oh, he's going to get involved now. You've angered the English king, French knight. He's angered them all. They're all coming for him. Yeah, in charge the English knights. That Frenchman isn't going to live for much longer. But then, I suppose neither of the longbowmen. In comes the French king. Oof. Yeah, there he goes, cutting down another one of the longbowmen. And it's just this longbowman left. He's not reloaded, so he can't cut down one of the few remaining French men-at-arms, and he's going to die very shortly. But the English reserves have now been brought in. They're going to hopefully be able to deal with these guys pretty easily, although it looks like they have lost one knight in that, which not great, let's be honest. Yeah, they're being battered by the French, who are bravely continuing, but it looks like one of them, another one, has been cut down by the longbowman, and oof, I don't think that was a good archer shot. I think he might have accidentally shot one of the English knights, but they have managed to succeed in taking down. Oh no, he did actually manage to hit the Frenchman. Of course, why did I doubt him? He is an English longbowman. Of course he did it. And yeah, now the English are going to be able to deal with this remaining French force, which is comprised of about 6, maybe 8 French knights, the king, and 2 men-at-arms. So, honestly, I think the English could have this. I mean, they do have King Edward, who is full health, and they do have all of these ready and waiting English knights, rather, who will be ready to deal with these Frenchmen. Looks like there is still an English knight over here dealing with, I think, yeah, this French knight over here. So they're going to be doing their thing. As we can see, there is King Philip doing his best to protect himself, but in comes King Edward, and they've spotted each other. But King Philip is dead. Long live the king. I mean, well, the next king. King Philip is dead. That's a big blow to morale to the French. There's actually 3 French men-at-arms. Make that 2 again. Down goes 1. Yeah, they're really going to suffer some morale penalty from losing the French king, as in comes King Edward. Oof. Knocking down a couple of the Frenchmen there. Very good. The English knight, though, he's still having his one-on-one duel with this French knight. So let's see. Is the Frenchman going to take him whilst he's down? Well, kill him whilst he's down, rather. He's trying to, but up jumps the Englishman. As down goes another Englishman to the French knights over there. Oh, and the Frenchman takes it. He kills the English knight. Not too great. There's actually only a couple of Englishmen left. Oh, down goes one of the French knights, though, to an English longbowman. Very good, very good. We do still have the king, though. King, yeah, there he is. King Edward is still alive. We've still got a couple of English knights, though. There's only 2 French knights left. Oh, the English shield takes the arrow blow there. That was very dicey. Very dicey indeed for the English knight. He could easily have been shot by his own longbowman. Oh, man-at-arm. Oh, takes him down with a nice spear cut. There's still... Oh... There's still this English knight here, who's just been charged by one of the Frenchmen. And of course we do still have the king. There's 2 French knights to 1 English knight and the king. And the king is not dead. He's not dead yet. He still has a whole load of health. As down goes the man-at-arms. He just got shot by an English longbow. Very good. Oh, that was a nice hit there by a French man-at-arm there. And can this knight successfully protect the English longbowman from these Frenchmen? That's the real question that we're looking at here. Oh, he's trying his best. Oh, he does! He does with some help from the longbowman. The longbowman shot one of the French knights and the Englishman killed the other one. Very good. Now it's just the mercenary crossbowman. It's just this one sole remaining Italian crossbowman. And... oh, that's a beautiful shot. Oh, they both missed. That was very close, though. Look at that range that they're trying to snipe him from. We've still got King Edward, and we've still got the English knight. And there's still a man-at-arm. Where did you spring from? He was hiding. All this time he was hiding, waiting, and then he instantly pops up and gets shot in the foot. Instantly popped up and shot in the foot by a longbowman. And, oh, of course, the longbowman had to go right for the tender parts on that final remaining mercenary crossbowman. Oh, that was a hard fight for the English, most certainly. But they did manage it. They did manage it. As you can see, the complete line of dead crossbowmen, which was very satisfying. I mean, after the initial volley, which cut down a lot of the English, which wasn't ideal. If so many English hadn't gone down in that first opening volley from these mercenary crossbowmen, then they might have stood a better chance than they obviously had. But you know, all but one of the crossbowmen, that's acceptable in the end, I think, for that, before the French managed to get to their positions. The English over here did surprisingly well at holding off the main French advance, which all sort of went to the flank for whatever reason and then swept over this way. But as you can see, there's a lot of Frenchmen dead here. There's a lot of dead French knights and French men-at-arms here. There's obviously quite a few men-at-arms actually died over here with the crossbowmen, as well as a couple of knights, which is good. Those longbowmen doing their thing, cutting down the more thinly armoured French troops which don't have shields. And yeah, a surprising number of the French knights were actually taken out as well by the longbowmen. Obviously, the entire front line was eventually wiped out, and I'm surprised at how few actually of Edward's reserve knights actually survived here. I expected there to be more than just one English knight and the king left here. But yeah, the king lived, as well as the sole remaining English standard bearer, and well, some of the longbowmen. There's not really many of them left, but there's still some longbowmen. I mean, there was how many? I think it was like six on each flank of the king and his posse, and there's 5 over here. There's 3 over here, which is not great. There's about 1 and a bit of the sides left, but yeah, the longbowmen certainly helped out in this battle. We saw them numerous times cutting down the heavily armoured French knights and defending themselves and helping out the rest of the English. Obviously, the big morale loss for the French was loss of King Philip, who, fun fact, was actually wounded in this battle. So it sort of makes sense that he was the one to let's call it be wounded here. The sole surviving member of the French forces here. And yeah, I mean, look at the battlefield. That's what remains of the Battle of Crécy, or Crécy, or however you want to pronounce it. Yeah, scattered men-at-arms as they reach the English front line, and then just many dead English and Frenchmen. But the English did manage to beat the superior French force. They were outnumbered by about 30 men in this particular scenario. In this tab's recreation of it, rather. But they did manage to succeed, and they did manage to... Is this man alive? We've got 2 English knights! 2 English knights live! I'm sure he's... Is it... Oh, no, I think he is actually dead. No, I think he is actually dead. Oh, got my hopes up, dead man. I thought he was alive. It looks like he's alive because his arm is sort of still behind the shield and his sword is right next to his hand, so it looks like he's alive or just fallen over, but no, I think he has actually died. So yeah, with that sad note, I'll leave you with the remains of the Battle of Crécy, and I'll thank you for watching, and goodbye.